A very important halacha that applies to Korech is what the Bear halacha discusses, a very important nakuda point in Siman Tuf Ayin Hey Sif Aleph towards the end of the sif. It's a long sif. We spent already some time on it. We're going to see it inside tomorrow. Just wanted to speak out this one point briefly today, which is we say Zecher למקדש כהלל when we eat the Korech. So let's just talk about that for a moment. The Shulchan Aruch over there says that we say Zecher למקדש כהלל, which means that we are commemorating the base of mikdash like Hillel, and then we eat this sandwich, which of course is a combination of matzah and marror. Okay? Now let's discuss something over here. We recite the beracha of achilas matzah. Right? Now, one important halacha is he should not divert his mind, have hesach hadas, and think about items and things that don't have to do with the matzah and the maror until he eats the korech. Also, when a person says the bracha of hamotzi and achilas matzah, you should have in mind that it's going to cover the korech as well as the afikomen. All right? So you should think that. Now, here's the main point to discuss over here. The Mishna Berura points out that this is a din lechatchila. This is preferable. All right? This is however, bedieved, one would fulfill his obligation if he talked, which means when a person says the beracha on the matzah, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, al achilas matzah, he's not allowed to talk about stuff that doesn't have to do with the matzah and the maror. He shouldn't even talk at all. Right? That beracha is covering the korech sandwich as well. Now we have to mention something that is very, very important. What is the source of saying Zecher lemikdash kehilel? When we eat this, we say Zecher lemikdash kehilel, that we were remembering the base of mikdash like Hillel. The Gemara in Pesachim relates a fundamental machlokes, a very important argument. This is on Kuf Tezayin Amud Aleph. Hillel would have the matzah and the maror simultaneously. That was the chiddush, the inside of Hillel, and we discussed this in the past exactly why specifically was Hillel the one who did this fine. However, according to Rabbi Yochanan, others would have them independently, individually. In other words, you'd have the matzah, and then you would have the maror. That's what they would do back then. All right. Now, the Gemara concludes, since we have different opinions over here, we want to cover all opinions, and we should eat the matzah, and then the maror, and then have the sandwich. All right. The Sefer Hamanhig rules in Hilchos Pesach, it's Os Pei Daled. Someone who wants to fulfill this mitzvah in a preferable manner and fulfill all opinions should not talk after reciting the beracha on the matzah until after Korech. And other rules rule this way as well. That being said, this is all an introduction for the real question that matters over here. The real question that matters is, wait a second. Who said that this is okay? When do we say Zecher lemikdash kehilel?
Before we carve.
It's a hefsek. It's an interruption. We just learned you're not supposed to interrupt from when you say the brachas until when? Until after you eat the korech, and it's all done.
Chazal instituted it.
So, Chazal instituted Zecher lemikdash kehilel. Where did they say that it has to be said at that time? What's the source of that? Haggadah, yeah, Shrach. Haggadah. Which one? I could publish my own Haggadah. You know what I say? I say in the Haggadah you should do a handstand. I put that in my Haggadah. Zecher to Hashem, turning things around. Okay, so now it's a source. So you got to figure out exactly what's going on over here. The Bear Halacha, by the way, is bothered by that question that I just asked. The Chafetz Chaim in the Bear Halacha in Dibur Maskul V'Omer, he says, Zeich lemikdash kehilel, doesn't that constitute as an interruption? You know what the Chafetz Chaim says? He says, I didn't find any poskim who say that you should say Zeich lemikdash kehilel. Rather, they say we eat the korech sandwich to remember that Hillel did this. Not that you should say it, though. Maybe the Shulchan Aruch didn't mean Zeich lemikdash kehilel should specifically be said before eating the korech sandwich. Maybe rules the Bear Halacha, paskins the Bear Halacha, you need to begin eating the sandwich and then say it after. After you say Zeich lemikdash kehilel. And the Bear Halacha concludes by completely questioning the text of the Shulchan Aruch himself.
We took that discussion.
Saying that the Shulchan Aruch didn't specifically mean that you should say the Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel. Maybe it didn't even mean that. This ruling of the Ber Halach is fascinating. You should know for years. Not only have I done this, but wherever I am for the Seder, I instruct, I make a, what do you call it? No, the English terminology. Public service announcement. I make a public service announcement, and I come along and say, by the way, if you want to know, I'm not talking, I'm not answering questions, I'm not answering shilas. It's just this question. It's okay, everyone cares about it. Shalashut is the Shabbos after all. Everyone's got to know, what do you do? No, but we're not learning about Shalashut right now. So it's a public service announcement, granted, but I'm working on Korech right now. I'm not, any shilah you want to know, no problem. After I'm done with my Korech, I'm happy to give you my time. Yesterday we went to a certain place out of the 5 towns area. My wife's expecting whatever. And we go to the restaurant. And it was like in between like a sit down fancy and it was what's that place called? The New High Park, the Green Olive or something?
Oh, the Olive Garden.
Olive Garden something.
I love that place.
Yeah, that place. They just did a nice expansion, whatever. I haven't been there in years. The mashkiach comes over to me. He's wearing this, this not a do-rag. What's that thing called? The caps that they wear that go over your ears, the winter hats. What are those things called?
Baseball caps with
not the baseball, the whole thing that keeps you warm. Whatever, one of those hats. Oh, by the way, the pizza. It's no, not that it's chadash. The pizza, the rabbi said it's made out of a special type of oil, and therefore it's mezainis, even if you have 2 slices. So he told me this as I'm going to wash. Okay. Anyways, I said, look, my pizza's hot right now. I just paid $25 for 2 slices of fries and a broccoli roll. I'm not, I want to have at least hot pizza. The price of pizza, $4 a slice. What happened? Pizza that I make at home is even better. That's another discussion. Anyways, I come in, he sits down, I slug the guy up. I totally destroy him. He's coming to me, it says the sword's over here and this and that. I said, you got to read what you're showing me because it doesn't say that. It talk about fruit juice. Man. So anyways, then to the guy, I told him you should watch the material, Rabbi Blond on you. Anyways, so maybe he'll chaperine. He didn't realize he was messing with the killer whale. He didn't realize that. That's the problem. But the point is that you got to, I told him, 1 slice of pizza, you have 15 kazesim the size of an olive in 1 slice of pizza. And even if you hold that it is possible but kissing, which would be mizonos, you're having a meal. 2 slices, a skinny guy like me, I'm full from that. But anyways, let's get back on track over here. So we have Korech over here. Now, therefore, this Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel, according to the Ber Halacha, should be said after you eat, or in the middle after you started eating. Now, let's point something out. Is there anyone who says the other way? Now, the Darchei Moshe, as well as the Prague Haggadah, they both say, this is the Darchei Moshe in Taf Ayin Hey, Oz Gimel, to say Zeichel Mikdash Kehilel, just to say it in general. The Oz V'Hadar Mishna Berura, commenting on this whole idea in Oz Samach Beis, explains the reason to say Zeichel Mikdash Kehilel is in order to inform everyone that nothing is being added to the mitzvahs. Rather, this sandwich, this korech, is being eaten because we're doubtful if the halacha is like Hillel or not. Pri Megadim, in the Mishna Berura Oz Zayin, seems to say a similar idea. He explains that we say Zeichel Mikdash Kehilel in order to demonstrate that we cannot fulfill our obligation of matzah only by doing korech. Why? Nowadays, the marror is their abundant. So now it's the rabbinic obligation in the mitzvah of marror could nullify the obligation from the Torah, the biblical obligation, the mitzvah d'oraisa of matzah. However, during the time of the Beis HaMikdash, when the mitzvah of marror was d'oraisa, when the Beis Hamikdash is around, the mitzvah maror is going to be a Torah obligation. It's possible to fulfill one's obligation of matzah during Korech. During Korech, since maror is a Torah obligation, the Beis Hamikdash stood. So that's an idea. Now, important caveat on everything that we just learned. According to Rav Avadia Yosef, all right, in the Yishalos and Shuvas Yechav Das Chilek Aleph Simin Yud Tes, he quotes many Rishonim who the Shulchan Aruch goes like, who say that you say Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel before eating the sandwich. It's according to Rav Avadia, and he quotes many that way. The reason why this may be done is because the statement of Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel testifies, it shows us that this Korech sandwich is being done in order to commemorate the Beis Hamikdash. Therefore, saying Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel would not be considered an interruption. He therefore concludes that it's Minhag Yisrael Torah, that this is a custom for Jews to do, and one should in fact say Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel first. That's Rav Avadia Yosef. Vayigad Moshe also says that since Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel has to do with the mitzvah, it's therefore not an interruption. That's what he says. This is the Vayigad Moshe in Simin Chavav Os Ches. That's that. Now, it seems from all of this, again, this is Nira Lefiani Daiti. This is according to my humble opinion. It seems like from all of this, you have absolutely nothing to lose by eating the Korech first and then saying Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel after. You have nothing to lose, like the ruling of the beracha. And therefore, it seems like that would be preferable. You really have nothing to lose by doing that. Lastly, Chaim Kanievsky says that it is certainly permissible to do this, and it's not considered changing a full-fledged Jewish custom. In other words, if a person does want to have the Korech, and then subsequently say the Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel, you could do that. And you could continue eating the Korech after. Continue doing that also. It's not considered like you're changing a minhag, so to say. According to Chaim Kanievsky, I saw it in Haggadah. I remember at a table in a certain shul once. I don't have the Haggadah though. But I saw it brought down there. So at the end of the day, this is a deep dive, hyper-focused on this specific halacha of when to say the Zeich Lemikdash Kehilel. And I think that there's really nothing to lose at all by saying it after, like the Ber Halacha. Really. What's the benefit of doing it before? There's no din of over lasyas, and there's no, before we do a mitzvah, we always say the bracha before. This isn't even a bracha. It doesn't need to be done before. And even if you hold that it does need to be before, this is kind of a compromise, because you could continue eating the sandwich after, so it still could be considered a before. Albeit not preferable, but nevertheless, to get out of this halachic issue, so you get out of that. So I don't think you have anything to lose. I think it's a very important halacha, which very few people know about, because it's deep dive. It's ber halacha. Most people, halavai, they should just learn the siman, even without the ber halacha and the Mishna Berura. It's a very long Mishna Berura to make it through the whole thing. Anyways, any questions, comments?
There are a lot of times where the ber halacha brings down a halacha, and he doesn't mention it at all in the Mishna Berura.
Yes,
Many
a lot of times.
Okay.
A lot of times. And I think sometimes it's because he realizes that only a certain caliber of people are learning the ber halacha. It's more advanced. It's deeper. And purposely, I think sometimes he doesn't put something in the Mishna Berura because he might not want everyone to know it necessarily. Only certain individuals who he knows are more pious or scrupulous with their mitzvah performance.
So I'm guessing then that you should make a big deal. You can mention it, but don't make a big deal about it to everybody else.
But the Korech, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Because if he's
why is it this isn't
halacha,
controversial?
I'm not saying it's controversial. I'm just saying, no, we always do it like that.
You could always do like that, so what?
You're preaching to the choir here. I'm just saying sometimes,
if one person's going to listen, it's worth it. There you go. This is why I think that this is a very nice shear to give between men chamarav if you only have 5, 10, 15 minutes to say something, because it's not too complex and it's very relevant. And most people, I don't think that this would upset them to hear it, because number one, I feel like a lot of people don't even realize that it's a problem to talk. Right? People think once you eat the matzah and maror, then you're allowed to start talking.
Right.
Or once you eat the matzah for the first time, After you say Achilas matzah, Hamotzi matzah, you're allowed to talk. A lot of people don't even realize you're not allowed to talk. That's explicit in Shulchan Aruch. So people don't realize that. So
And then
that's how this whole shaila comes up.
Say passing the matzah, is it the same halachos like with Hillel?
Yes, same thing, but it's not preferable. That would just be like on a regular Shabbos if you wash and you didn't eat from the challah yet because it didn't get to your end of the table for the person who was cutting. And you say, "Oh, could you please pass it?" You could say it is technically not an interruption because it's needed, but it's better to motion. Same thing. Same thing. Now, obviously, it wouldn't be as severe over here if you already had the matzah, because at least the bracha b'motzi and everything was already chal, it already fell on the matzah, so to say. But still, you have to be careful. Divert, you want to say anything? No. Last chance.
Yeah.
Drum.
Oh, sorry. No comment. Sorry. No
No
comment.
comment. Okay. Let's do the next piece.